Good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you may be watching this transmission. It is I, Mike Martins. All right, guys, I got something of a very, very importance to share with you guys here. Here it is, guys, and it's coming from the heart of Canada, and it's coming from the breadbasket. It's coming from the oil, our oil reserves. It's coming from our raw materials. Canada, you thought it was hit with a really Mickey Mouse election we had. None of the questions were being asked were good ones to help the Canadian proper, or the, I guess, Canadians on the lower spectrum, like myself, middle class all the way down, upper middle class all the way down to the bottom, are pretty much being chopped up or sent to the grinder, I guess, when it comes to jobs getting ripped off, taxes, all kinds of things, right? Now, what is happening? Well, oil, wheat shipments grind to a halt, and Imperial Canada's economy. To halt Imperial Canada's economy. So right now, everything's halting right now in Canada, coast to coast. The Street Union says it's no closer to a deal. So what is happening, guys? This is a huge deal. We've had the Raven on the show several times, who is an upper echelon in the CN and has been a conductor / engineer for many years. And he's been on the show many times. And he's been foretelling this for the longest time now. And now it is happening. So what is happening exactly? Well, there's a lot. Canada's 1.7 trillion economy has long been closely tied to the ebbs and flows of global trade. So a lot of our oil is landlocked in Canada. So for us to get it out, we need to get to a port, right? A port of entry, right? Via ships, right? So that's very important, right? I always wondered why. Wait, quick interruption here. Why they called, when you ship something by ship it's cargo, but when you ship something by truck, it's shipment. Shouldn't it be shipment on a ship and cargo on a truck? Anyways, I'm not funny. Now, a homegrown crisis threatens to hobble its export industries and stunt its already weak growth. This week, thousands of workers at Canada's largest rail company walked off the job in one of the largest nationwide labor strikes in recent memory. Shipments of exports like crude oil and aluminum, largely from its inland prairies and bound for the United States and the world, are grinding to a halt. I forgot, we got neighbors to the south of us. It's called the United States of America. Freight traffic has clogged up the border, and shortages of propane risk leaving thousands in the two largest provinces without heat. Natural gas, I forgot that moves around too to other provinces to provide heat for people. I totally forgot that. That was off my list. I forgot, guys. Okay, here we go. While the dispute itself over working conditions and benefits for some 3,200 conductors and yard operators of Canada National Railway Company might sound like a local affair, the economic fallout is anything but. The 5-day-old strike could shave off a quarter point from growth this quarter if it lasts through December 5th, when lawmakers who have the power to break the impasses return from hiatus. That's concerning economists. See, Canada's expanding just 1.3% annual rate during a period. So our GDP is expanding 1.3. It's actually been shrinking, guys. Realistically, it's been shrinking. Our GDP here we have a shrinking economy, but we created 40,000, not 40,000 public sector jobs. So what? Who cares? Public sector means nothing. And crucially, it's yet another blow to Canada's belligerent manufacturing and agricultural industries, which have been beast in recent years of trade tensions with the U.S., low commodity prices, and high output costs. Is that belligerent? Belaguerd manufacturer? Belaguerd? I've never used that word in my life. We're going to take further hit here, said Pedro Antis, the chief economist at the Conference Board of Canada. The strike exuberates a fundamental underlying problem that is essentially the competitiveness, attractiveness of investment in Canada. Economic growth is already decelerating in Canada, partially as a result of ongoing global trade turmoil. For the year, economists see growth at just 1.5%, which would be half of the country's output in 2017. So here's the deal, guys. Here's the dealio with this. Since this last election, we have Wexit. We got Western Canada that wants to get the heck out of Eastern Canada and say, go to hell, right? We got that. And then we got, who do we got? Well, we got others. We got oil that's lost its value and lost its shine. We got gold that's going down in value. So we're not looking too good right now. Our iron ore from up north is looking at striking too, and people are looking for raises and stuff way up in Baffin, I think Baffin Island. We got all kinds of problems here. We're creating more public sector jobs to make our jobs growth looks good, but realistically, what is looking realistically good right now in Canada? In recent years, rail strikes have rarely lasted more than a few days. Talks between the company and union and officials are ongoing in Montreal, but have shown few signs of an immediate resolution. On Thursday, CN Rail Chief Executive Officer Jean-Jacques-Rouest said the company offered the union binding arbitration. The Teamsters Canada Rail Conference Union, which has been without a contract since July, rejected the option. So a lot of people now are getting hired into these now private sector jobs, but are no longer getting benefits and no longer getting union contracts and stuff. And that is very scary because unionized work, once it goes downhill, goodbye to organized labor. The government, for its part, is urging the two parties to resolve the issue themselves and has shown reluctance to issue back to work legislation. That's despite pressure from the provincial minister and industry associations, who say that the disruptions will hurt every sector of the economy and are calling on lawmakers to return earlier to force workers back on the job. And this, guys, this is why we are seeing this strike. And there's a little hidden agenda that's been going on. Selfless robot driving trains, where basically robots will be driving these trains now. And yeah, CN has basically upgraded their manuals to a tablet. Everything you need to know since, I think, the turn of the century, of the 19th century, or the 20th century, is there in that manual. So they've been changing things real quick. And then you have engineers sitting in trains while the robots and the lights and everything work and do its own thing. In some ways, it's almost like Michael Knight. I was watching Michael Knight last night with my son, Knight Rider. And the whole car is driving by itself, and my son's like, whoa! And I'm like, yeah, you know what? We got that, son. We got Google driving cars or whatever, smart cars or whatever, Tesla cars. In some ways, the strike is the first test for Prime Minister JT since his Liberal Party's hold on power was weakened in elections last month. As a minority government, Trudeau needs to rely on other parties to pass legislation. While Trudeau has some support of the Conservatives, and the end of the strike, the risk is pushing too hard could annihilate the New Democratic Party, whose pro-labor members he'll need to get other bills passed. I don't want to get the NDP involved in this because I don't want to get my price of operating going up or anything. The stakes are high. Exports accounts over 30% of Canada's economic output, more than every other group in 8 nation except Germany. So other stakes are exports account for 30% of Canada's economic output. I'll say it again. Exports account for 30% of Canada's economic output. Most of the stuff we're selling at a loss anyway, but technically, realistically, it says that's what it says here. More than ever, other group of 8 nation except Germany. Its rail networks play a key role transporting consumer goods as well as canola, wheat, potash, and other national resources to the seaports at points south. Oil exporters have increasingly turned to rail because of pipeline bottlenecks in Alberta's oil sands. Last year, more than 92 billion of exports were carried by rail in Canada. A fifth total export. CN Rail is one of the two main players and owns more than half of the nation's tracks. Goods are still flowing on the on the country's other network, Canadian Pacific Railway. That's CP, right? Yeah, and there's CN. It's there's two of them, the CN and CP. There's train freight. Motor vehicles make up 36% of Canadians' exports by rail. So passenger cars and light trucks, wow, 33 billion. Lumber and other sawmill products, 7.9 billion. Crude oil and bitumen, 6.6 billion. Plastic resins, 5.6 billion. Unwrought aluminum and aluminum alloys, 4.1 billion. Paper and pulp, 4 billion. Potash, 3 billion. Dyes and pigments, 2 billion. Intermediate food products, 2 billion. Basic chemicals, 2 billion. You would think that food would be one of the top things being transported around Canada to feed our people, but it's not, because it's actually being shipped by tractor trailers, semi trucks. Anyways, in dollar terms, the strike could easily cost the Canadian government more than $3 billion in lost output in early December, according to TD Bank economists. That's the conservative figure. They said a lengthy halt in shipments would have knocked on effects on corporate profits. Canadian crude prices have already reacted to the news, failing to their lowest in a week. So this is a huge problem, guys. We're seeing this problem becoming a bigger problem, and especially with a weakened economy, a shrinking economy, and lowering interest rates, and the price of housing, and the Canadian proper is completely bought out of their own markets. They were born and raised. A lot of people were born and raised in this country and don't have a future. Future education-wise, but a future of making a basic need is. Living a basic life is becoming more and more bleak. The strike almost halted shipments of crude oil and some rail terminals in Alberta at a time when the pipelines are filled with capacity and trains are essential to maintaining exports of Canada's most important commodity. The Tank Tiger and Terminal Storage Clearinghouse received an inquiry to store about 30 rail tank cars for 30 days in the U.S. Pacific Northwest after cars couldn't deliver crude to terminal due to the strike. Mining companies are also freezing the impact. If strike continues, Hudbay Minerals Inc. could see an inventory buildup of zinc, copper, concentrate, and lagging sales in the fourth quarter, according to Credit Suisse. Farmers, Ontario and Quebec, meanwhile, are being urged to limit drying of corn and soybean, and heating for residents and livestock is prioritized. This disruption comes at a challenging time for the Canadian economy, said Brian DePatron, the economist at TD. Okay, more pain is hardly what the manufacturing or agriculture sector need right now. No, people need to live a normal life. A lot of people are having a really tough time making ends meet for a very basic very basic life, living a very basic life. And this is it. The strike is booming, and people are not, asking to live in mansions. People are just hoping to live a basic, pay my rent for my one bedroom and buy food. A lot of people in the South, in the United States, are looking at this and saying, wow, it's really that bad in Canada? I'm like, yeah, it's really that bad in Canada, where you can't even afford a one bedroom and any major cities anymore, because the average rent, according to the cities, affordable rent is about $2,400 a month, when the average person nets $3,700 a month. So it's not going to fly. So let me know what you guys think. CN Rail strikes. I'm looking forward to your comments below. Let me know what you guys think. Yeah, guys, I'm on many platforms now. I'm on, where did that page go? Guys, get on the other platforms. There should be links below for you guys to see. Get on the other platforms. I'm on Brighton, I'm on BitChute, and I'm on the other one there. BitTubers. I'm on BitTubers. Get on BitTubers if you want to see some of my stuff there. Guys, comment below. What do you guys think? This is a big, big deal. This is coming from BNN Bloomberg, today's date. Thanks for watching.